If there's one thing that all sports fan bases can relate to, it's heartbreaking losses.
This was the worst the Suns have played the entire season, and I've been to damn near every game. It's embarrassing.
We're a little sad. We are very sad.
For this list, we're focusing on 10 teams who have consistently performed well in the regular season, only to leave their fans devastated by the end of it all. And hey, a big shout out to Nicholas Paz 8820 for suggesting this video. Buffalo Bills. There are two special chapters of Buffalo Bills sports heartbreak. The first, of course, is the dynasty that never was, the Jim Kelly and Marv Levy-led group that reached 4 straight Super Bowls from 1990 to 93, only to lose every single one of them. Even with other Hall of Famers in Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, and Bruce Smith, the star-studded Bills could never get over that hump. Scott Norwood's wide right miss in Super Bowl 25 began the jinx on Buffalo sports, and nothing has really changed more than 3 decades later. After nearly 2 decades of irrelevance, the Bills re-emerged as an AFC heavyweight with Josh Allen and Sean McDermott in 2019. The 2020 AFC Championship game loss to the Kansas City Chiefs was supposed to be the start of a glorious run in Buffalo. Or so we all thought. Buffalo lost to Kansas City in the 13-second game a year later. Then they were crushed by the underdog Cincinnati Bengals in the 2022 AFC Divisional Round after opening the year as Super Bowl 57 favorites. A year later, Tyler Bass in Wide Right 2 ended the Bills' season against KC yet again in the Divisional Round. Seasons change, but the Buffalo Bills don't. Same old song and dance. Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers could never break through in the Lob City era with Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Jordan. Despite 6 straight playoff appearances from 2012 to 2017, the Clippers won just 3 playoff series and never advanced past round 2. When the Clippers landed both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in the summer of 2019, it was supposed to mark the beginning of the golden era for the Los Angeles Lakers' little brothers, if you will. But here we are half a decade later, and it's just the same old Clippers. They dominate the regular season, then fold like a soft pretzel in the postseason. Since landing both Leonard and George, the Clippers have won a whopping 3 postseason series, 2 of which came in 2021 alone. They reached the Western Conference Finals for the first time in franchise history that year, but Leonard's season-ending injury in round 2 was another painful reminder that the Clippers couldn't have nice things. They wound up losing to the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. LA has failed to win a single playoff series since their run to the 2021 Conference Finals, even with 2 shoo-in Hall of Famers leading the way. Heck, landing former MVP James Harden during the 2023-2024 season did nothing but lead to another round 1 exit. Want to know why? It's because the Clippers fans have to endure miserable heartbreak every single year. And the Clippers themselves are gonna make sure that they do. Dallas Cowboys. Some fan bases may be irked by this entry, asking us how we could feature a team with 5 Super Bowl championships to their names. Well, folks, allow us to tell you something. There are 2 generations of Cowboys fans who can only sample a Super Bowl by watching highlights of the glory days from the 70s and 90s. Cowboys fans born in the new millennium, along with the millions of old-timer supporters, never get to celebrate anything anymore. Dallas hasn't played in an NFC title game since 1995, the last year that they won the Super Bowl. Since winning Lombardi Trophy number 5, Jerry Jones' squad has 4 playoff wins, all wildcard round victories. This team never broke through with Tony Romo, Terrell Owens, DeMarcus Ware, Des Bryant, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, Ezekiel Elliott, et al. Though Dak Prescott puts up MVP numbers like every single year, the guy only has 2 playoff wins to his name. Dallas churns out a top 10 defense and offense every single year, yet it always culminates with a wildcard or divisional round loss. It's pretty dang wild. Oh well, at least those 90s teams were fun. Cleveland Guardians. Unfortunately for Cleveland fans, there was only room for 1 champion in the 2016 World Series. That wound up being the Chicago Cubs, who won Game 7 in the land to end the franchise's 108-year World Series drought. With the Cubs emerging victorious, the longest World Series drought changed ownership and fell into the hands of Cleveland. And since losing the 2017 Fall Classic on their home field, the Guardians have only added more layers of crushing losses for their fans to stomach. After winning 102 games in 2017, the Guardians were ousted by the underdog New York Yankees in 5 games. They were swept by the Houston Astros in the 2018 ALDS. And then 2 years later, their return to the postseason ended with a sweep at the hands of the Yankees. Then, after taking a 2-1 series lead over the Pinstripes in the 2022 ALDS, the Guardians lost 2 in a row and saw another division-winning season go to waste. Factor in Cleveland blowing a 9th-inning lead in Game 7 of the 1997 World Series against the Florida Marlins, and blowing a 3-1 series lead against Boston in the 2007 ALCS, and it's hard not to feel for Guardians fans. Phoenix Suns. The Suns couldn't break through with the championship in the Charles Barkley era, losing to Michael Jordan and the dynastic Chicago Bulls in the 1993 NBA Final. The Suns re-emerged as a contender in the mid-2000s thanks to Steve Nash's arrival in 2004. Nash won consecutive MVPs in 2005 and 2006, working alongside Sean Marion and Amari Stoudemire to form a dynamic Big Three in the desert. But Phoenix would never get past the Dallas Mavericks, San Antonio Spurs, or Los Angeles Lakers roadblocks. The Chris Paul-Devin Booker tandem brought relevance back to Phoenix in 2021 as the Suns made a thrilling run to the NBA Finals, but that was all for nothing. They took a 2-0 series lead over the Milwaukee Bucks in the NBA Finals, only to lose 4 in a row. The Suns look poised to rebound from the heartbreak, winning 64 games the following season. But that only ended with another gut-wrenching loss as they were ousted by the Dallas Mavericks in Game 7 of the conference semis. Phoenix traded for Kevin Durant ahead of the 2023 deadline, hoping that the future Hall of Famer would get them over the title hump. Nope, there's another loss in the conference semis, this time to the eventual champion Denver Nuggets. So then in the 2023 offseason, the Suns acquired superstar guard Bradley Beal to complement KD and Booker. All that led to was a first-round sweep at the hands of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Boston Bruins. It's odd putting the Bruins on this list since their last Stanley Cup victory wasn't all that long ago, 2011 to be exact. Throw in how much Boston has been spoiled with sports success in the 21st century, and it's truly difficult to shed a tear for supporters of the original Six franchise. They watched the Chicago Blackhawks and St. Louis Blues skate around with the Stanley Cup on their home ice in 2013 and 2019 respectively. Against St. Louis, Boston put up a stinker in a gut-wrenching 4-1 home defeat that saw the Blues win their first Stanley Cup. Boston also suffered season-ending Game 7 losses at home against the Washington Capitals in 2012, the Montreal Canadiens in 2014, and the Florida Panthers in 2023. Against Florida, Boston blew a 3-1 series lead and lost in overtime after setting the regular season records for wins and points. The Bruins have only missed the playoffs twice since 2008. 3 President's Trophies, 3 conference finals, superstar power featuring David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, Jeremy Swayman, and etc., etc. And no Stanley Cups to show for it since 2012? I mean, even the New England Patriots and Boston Red Sox went on to achieve dynastic status after winning it all in 2001 and 2004 respectively. New York Yankees. If not the Cowboys, the Yankees are the most hated team in North American professional sports leagues. So, please shed a tear for those poor Yankees supporters who haven't been able to celebrate a World Series championship since 2009. The Yankees are actually awfully similar to the Boston Bruins. Their last World Championship was a little over a decade ago. They're a title contender every year, but once the calendar flips to playoff time, the Yankees and Bruins both crumble like cookies. Since 2010, the Yankees have lost in the ALCS 5 times, and let's not forget their decisive Game 5 loss to the Tampa Bay Rays in the ALDS, or their crushing losses to the bitter rival Red Sox in the 2018 ALDS and the 2021 AL wildcard game. The Yankees are loaded with star power, namely Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Giancarlo Stanton, and Clay Holmes. They always boast a deep farm system and one of baseball's highest payrolls, yet they can't even buy an AL pennant out of it. Nobody feels bad for the Yankees, except their own fan base. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable how many great regular season campaigns and superstars' prime years have gone to waste with constant October choke jobs. Philadelphia 76ers. Since 2018, only the Milwaukee Bucks, Boston Celtics, and Denver Nuggets have won more games than the 76ers. The difference is that those 3 teams are in the title mix every year, while the 76ers are nothing more than regular season darlings. Even with all-world superstar Joel Embiid and terrific sidekicks like Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harrison, James Harden, and Tyrese Maxey, these 76ers have never managed to break through in a wide-open Eastern Conference. Their most painful loss was unquestionably Kawhi Leonard's game-winning buzzer beater in Game 7 of the conference semis series against the Toronto Raptors. 2 years later, the top-seeded 76ers were ousted by the 5th-seeded Atlanta Hawks in 7 games. Philly held a 3-2 series lead over the arch-rival Celtics in the 2023 conference semifinals, only to lose the next 2 games. A year later, the 76ers were eliminated by the New York Knicks in the opening round. The 76ers are basically the Eastern Conference version of the Clippers, never short on star power and future Hall of Famers, but they always choke and leave their fans wondering what could have been. Toronto Maple Leafs. Not much can be said about the Maple Leafs and the cruel heartbreak that they cause their fans annually. They have the longest active Stanley Cup drought, having last won it all in 1967. In fact, that's the last year Toronto actually reached the championship series. The Chicago Blackhawks previously had the longest cup drought from 1961 to 2009 before finally ending it way back when in 2010. In the post-lockout era, 2005-2006 onward, the Leafs have won a single playoff series. The annual playoff choke jobs include 4 Game 7 losses to the rival Boston Bruins, 2 of which came in overtime. A core with superstars Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, and John Tavares just keep falling short time and time again. They blew a 3-1 series lead to the underdog Montreal Canadiens in the opening round in 2021. They blew 3 separate series leads in their opening round loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2022, suffering another brutal Game 7 loss on home ice. The Maple Leafs seemingly finally broke through in 2023 by eliminating Tampa Bay to win their first playoff series since 2004, only to be dispatched by the 8th-seeded Florida Panthers in 5 games. And in the opening round of the 2024 postseason, just another Game 7 overtime loss to the Bruins. The Maple Leafs, dare we say, are the NHL's version of the Dallas Cowboys. All hype, no results, every single year. Minnesota Vikings. This one doesn't need a lot of explanation, now does it? Legendary head coach Bud Grant led Minnesota to 4 Super Bowl appearances between 1969 and 76. The Vikings lost all 4 of them by double digits. Then you had Gary Anderson's miss in the 1998 NFC title game that wasted the Vikings' 15-win record-setting season. And what about Brett Favre's brutal interception in the 2009 NFC title game when Minnesota was on the verge of defeating the New Orleans Saints? Blair Walsh's missed gimme versus the Seattle Seahawks in the 2015 wildcard round, getting blown out by the Eagles in the 2017 NFC title game when you were 1 victory away from playing Super Bowl 52 inside your own stadium. The Vikings are never terrible. They're in playoff contention every single year, yet all they do is add more and more "how did that happen" losses to the repertoire, constantly blowing grade A chances of winning the franchise's first Super Bowl. But hey, which other sports teams break their fans' hearts every year? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.